Hello and welcome. I'm your Mayor Pro Tem, David Shaver, and I'm here today to discuss the crisis in Stanton. I have with me Carol Jacobs, our City Manager, Fire Chief Keith Richter of the Orange County Fire Authority, and our Chief of Police, Jeff Pasalacqua. Stanton has a rich and long history and sense of community. Our residents and businesses have enjoyed a high quality of life due to the city's emphasis on business-friendly atmosphere, award-winning parks, wonderful community recreation programs, and making public safety our #1 priority. Due to the downward spiral in the economy, the rating of our local taxes by the state of California, Stanton does not have the ability to balance the budget as we have done for the past 25 years. However, by cutting the budget for the last 4 years, employee layoffs, and pension reform, the city has been able to keep most of its services in place. Now that the state of California has taken an additional $12.1 million in redevelopment agency money, a perfect storm has hit us, putting us in a financial crisis. There is not enough revenue to provide city services other than public safety and government-mandated programs. I would like to discuss the council's priorities with you at this time. The city's #1 priority has always been and will continue to be public safety. Without it, we would not have the quality of life needed for our business community and citizens to prosper and feel safe. Stanton is a community that has greatly benefited from our protective services because of the excellent job done by the Orange County Sheriff Department and the Orange County Fire Authority firefighters. Over 20 years ago, we forged these relationships to improve the quality of life for everyone in Stanton. Chief Richter tells us at this time about some of the OCF services that you provide in the city.
Well, David, the OCFA only has one station in the city of Stanton. That's Station 46. So we are spread pretty thin in terms of the number of resources that we have in Stanton. We respond to all fire and medical emergencies within the city, and we provide other kinds of service like business inspections and plan review and all of the things that the community needs to keep their building safe.
You know, one of the things that I'm very interested in is how important is the level of service we have now, and if there was a drop in that level of service, how would the effects be for our community?
Well, as you're aware, the biggest problem that we have in responding to fire and medical emergencies is that the clock is our enemy. And so if we reduce services, that means that we aren't able to respond in a timely manner to either provide medical assistance or put out a fire. And if our station in Stanton is out of service, then it means that a station from another adjoining city is asked to respond in, and that delays the response, and sometimes that can result in a very bad outcome.
You know, having been on the Fire Authority Board for 16 years, I think the level of service that you've provided us has been superior at this point. And I think as we look at the regional approach to fire services, it's important that we maintain the level that we have now, because not only do we serve our residents in our community, but we also serve residents in our nearby communities also. And I think it's a joint effort among all of us. So I understand the effects on both the paramedics, but also response time is very important. And I think that's probably one of the biggest concerns that I have.
Yes,
getting,
absolutely.
not only delivering the suppression of the fire, but also getting there for medical emergencies, people that have strokes, people that get in automobile accidents, along those lines.
Well, one of the things I think that is important to know for the public is that the fire services in Stanton come on the fire engine. So if we are sending a fire truck to your medical emergency, we do double duty and also send that engine to a fire emergency as well. So we have cross-trained paramedic firefighters that provide the service in one vehicle.
Okay, that's great. One of the things that I know that I'd be interested in our community knowing about is that costs are always a great concern for us, as I know it is taxpayer money that pays it. Could you tell me some of the OCFA measures taken by OCFA to reduce the cost of our fire service to our community?
Sure. I think we've done quite a lot over the last 3 years. As you're aware, being one of our directors, 3 years ago we were facing about a $13 million budget deficit. And one of the biggest drivers of our costs, as most government agencies, is the employees. And so we went at the direction of our board of directors and talked to our employee groups and asked them to come back and talk with us about how we could cut costs going forward. All of our labor groups, to their credit, elected to sit down at the table with us and look at new and better ways of providing service at a lower cost. And at the end of our negotiations with our labor groups, we were able to provide for a less expensive retirement tier for new employees. The existing employees are going to be contributing 9% of their pay towards their pension costs. We currently have frozen about 113 of our positions that we had just a few years ago. So that's roughly 10% of our workforce has been left vacant as people retire and leave the service. New pay raises in the future will only be granted when the needs of the agency, both from an operational standpoint as well as our capital needs, are funded first. So we will not be giving any pay raises in the next 5 years. We're forecasting at least until the budget situation turns around and we're able to once again fund our capital budgets and start to replace some of the positions that we have lost over the last few years.
Chief, that sounds like that we're being very thrifty with the taxpayers' money and providing the highest level of service possible. So I want to thank you for giving that information to us.
Yes.
Also, we have another public safety partner with us today, and that is our Chief of Police, Jeff Pasalacqua. He's been our Chief of Police now for 4 years, and he's actually representing Orange County Sheriff Sandra Hutchins today. Would you tell us a little bit about the services that are here in Stanton and the level of services that we have?
Thank you, David. I'd love to. The Orange County Sheriff's Department provides law enforcement services for the City of Stanton. In those services, we have 24 deputies, 3 investigators, and 5 sergeants. The deputies respond to calls for service within the City of Stanton, and the investigators respond to follow-up investigations within the city. Over the past year, we've had approximately 18,000 calls for service in the City of Stanton. Those calls range from assaults, thefts, graffiti, calls of this nature. In those calls for service, we made approximately 1,800 arrests out of the calls for service. One of the great things that our deputies have done over the years, our response times have been low. Priority 1 calls for service have been about 2 minutes and 43 seconds response time to a priority 1 call, which is one of the lowest in the county, and we take pride in that. Among other services provided by Stanton Police Services is the Directed Enforcement Team. The Directed Enforcement Team is a team of 2 deputies, and they are directed to problem crime areas in the city. We keep an eye on what crimes are being committed and will respond to those. They don't handle calls for service. They are out there proactively looking for crimes in progress and keeping a lid on those types of crimes. They patrol our problem areas and do a great job. One of the issues that would happen if we did have a cut in service is that we would move into from a proactive approach with the Directed Enforcement Team to more of a reactive approach, which is problematic. We believe that being a proactive force in the city in going after crime proactively is the way to go, instead of just being able to react to the crime that's been committed.
You know, one of the things that I think you really stressed that was important is called reaction time, or the time it takes for us to get to a crime. That's because when you're going to a crime, or going to a crime scene, or going to help and aid somebody, it's a very serious condition. And just like fire, most of those are 911 calls. And so I think every second counts. And the fact that we do at this time, with the level of service that we're providing our community for both fire and police, is some of the lowest response times in the county. And I think our citizens are appreciative of that fact, and I know our business community is also.
Yes, sir.
At this time, I'd like to have Carol, our city manager, talk to us a little bit about what we've tried to do so that we can maintain the level of police and fire services within the community of Stanton.
Thank you, Mr. Shaver. Yes, the City Council has been very committed to keeping City Hall doors open to the public. We have done a number of things, cost-cutting measures over the last 4 years to keep those services going. The first approach that we took was we took an approach to look at all of those things that are would not affect the public. So we reorganized the staff, and we have implemented a hiring freeze, much like the Orange County Fire Authority. We have eliminated approximately 33 positions over the last 4 years. New employees will contribute to their own pension, 100%. We've also changed some other pension rules that we have. Employees are now paying increases to their health care costs. So those are some internal things that we did. That was not enough, so we had to look at cuts to the public, and we have reduced our maintenance to citywide parks. Instead of on a weekly schedule, we're on an every 2-week schedule. We've eliminated our school crossing guard program. We've eliminated one police officer position. One of our most drastic events was closing the police substation to the public by eliminating 3 non-sworn positions. We've eliminated our after-school programs and summer programs for children. We've reduced our citywide maintenance efforts, including graffiti removal, trash pickup, and weed abatement that is done by our city staff. The City Council eliminated all of our special citywide events, which were attended by approximately 10,000 people a year. We reduce our code enforcement staff. They will now be reactive instead of proactive. We will reduce the front counter staff at City Hall, so residents will be now having longer wait times at City Hall, and we'll be going to a voicemail system, which is not nearly as resident-friendly as we would like. Due to the state of California's taking of our redevelopment funds, we will lose approximately $12 million in reinvestment in the community. We're losing all of our homeowner financial programs that we've had that have been very successful over the years. We will eliminate most of our Parks and Rec department, including our youth programs, our after-school programs, our homework club, our mobile recreation programs, and our park snack programs. This summer, for the first time since it was open, we'll be closing the water feature at Dotson Park, which had about 150 kids a day at the park. We are reducing animal control services. We are eliminating the city's newsletter to all residents. That will now be only electronic. We are going to close Hollenbeck Park, which is our largest park at 10 acres, and we'll also be closing a smaller park at Zuniga. And finally, we are going to be eliminating the Stanton Parks and Rec Commission, one of the advisory boards to the council. All of that is about $3.5 million out of about a $16.2 million general fund budget. Over the last 5 years, we've done that, and it's still not quite enough to get us there. We still will have a deficit after all those actions have been taken. But I don't believe that we've given up, and we're going to continue to have a proactive approach to solving this budget crisis.
Thank you. You know, it's kind of a gloomy picture. It's not really a gloomy picture because it's pretty disastrous that we've had to, it's basically shut down half of City Hall. It's my understanding we only have about 19 employees left at this point, and we really don't have any monies left to fund police and fire at this point. In other words, we cut everything we can cut in the budget so that we can maintain our level of police and fire at this point. So the only other reductions will have to come in those areas of public safety, which I think is something that this city will never want to do. So it's kind of scary when you think about it. The City Council, though, gentlemen, just to make things a little brighter, hasn't really given up. We have a 4-step program for our budget stabilization and economic recovery. The first thing we're going to do is continue with our cost containment, and we're going to continue to make cuts or reductions wherever we possibly can. Second is economic development, including business attraction and job growth. Third, we want to keep our local tax dollars local with the support of the community. And then finally, we want to use our depleting reserves very carefully. After the theft of local tax dollars and the city's land by the state of California, the city must rely on itself for revenue generation and ensure that funds generated in Stanton stay in Stanton. Your city council is looking for every possible solution to solve our budget crisis. We are asking you, the Stanton community, to support the council's four-step economic recovery program. Together, this will prevent the city from having to reduce public safety and other vital city services. Please remember, your city council is committed to keeping vital city services, but we can't do it without your help. Please see the city's website at www.ci.stanton.ca.us for ways in which you can help. We're in this together, and together the City of Stanton will bounce back and will be stronger than ever. I want to thank you for joining me today and helping us to get through this crisis in Stanton.